Okay, it's going. Okay. Hello, welcome to the April Bookstream. We are here on slightly before April Fool's Day because we are filming this in advance, but when you're watching it, it's April Fool's Day, so we're going to do funny books, which is not necessarily books that have been advertised as funny, but books that we think are funny. I went for things that I didn't talk about last time that I remember laughing out loud during, and then also one book that I haven't actually read, but I trust that it's funny. And this is Anne.
Hi, I'm Anne. I am excited to be a guest on the Bookstream today.
She is the department head for Children's. So if you would like to get special book recommendations just from her, you can come upstairs and just be like, yeah, no, I want to talk to the person who's hiding in the back.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm usually hiding in the back, but I like to talk about books. So, yeah.
It's part of our job.
Yay.
It's the best part of the job. Okay.
All right. So do we want to start and talk about the things that we find funny?
I think that's probably the best plan because I have a very strange sense of humor.
Okay. Yeah, I have kind of a weird sense of humor too. I think that I tend to steer away from cringe humor. I don't want people being really embarrassed and finding that funny.
Secondhand embarrassment it hurts. Mm-hmm. I don't find it funny. There's a level of this is so relatably awkward. I could see it happening to myself. And that can be funny.
Yeah.
It's when it's people's feelings are hurt that I'm no, that's not funny.
Yeah. Or when everybody else knows that the person is embarrassing themselves, but that person doesn't.
Yeah.
That's really not. But I think when you said charmingly awkward, I love charmingly awkward.
Yeah, that's the entire reason I picked one of my books was because I remember sitting and reading it and going oh no, and laughing while saying oh no, because it's the character knew he was completely just ruining everything.
Yeah.
In a way that was, I would do that. I would totally do that. So. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I like when people start talking just to fill the silence and then all of a sudden realize that what they're saying is completely bonkers.
Yep.
And then they're oh my god, I'm so embarrassed, and then it just becomes awkward funny.
Mm-hmm. And it snowballs.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But when they think they're being really genuine, it's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just upsetting. It's not funny.
Yeah. Now, I like banter, too. I think banter, for me, is one of those things that I am really, if you have two characters, having a funny conversation that you could imagine happening on, a sitcom, that is peak humor for me.
Yeah. For me, another big thing is, dark comedy.
Mm-hmm.
When you're taking something that is fundamentally upsetting and not funny, but making it funny because it's sort of the same relatable thing. See how many of these are the morbid humor books? That's a lot.
Yeah, I definitely have at least one of those in my stack.
Yep.
So
horror comedy is the best.
Yes, absolutely. All right.
Okay.
So you're gonna start. You're gonna talk one of your books.
Yeah. Let's go with. Let's go with The Extraordinaries.
I really want to read that one. I have read some other T.J. Clooney. I don't know. I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but
I don't know either.
I read one of his adult ones and I was literally snorting because there was so much great humor in that one.
So this one is about a boy named Nick who lives in a world where superheroes are a real thing, and he is the most popular fan fiction writer for one of the superheroes because he has an enormous crush on this superhero. And so all of his fan fiction is self-insert.
I love it.
It's romance, just write about how he's gonna get this guy to fall in love with him and they're gonna it's gonna be great, and he'll always come and save him, and just like all these great things. And Nick is pretty happy just writing about it. He doesn't think he's ever actually going to meet this person, until one day he does, and
do sparks fly? No! Oh god!
So this is I could totally see myself doing this, and in fact I'm pretty sure when I was a teenager I didn't write a self-insert fan fiction with people that I had crushes on like Nick did, but I definitely had this person is my crush, and I am talking to them, and I am saying things, and I realize that I am saying everything that is wrong, and it's coming off super creepy, and I'm just digging myself deeper and deeper and deeper, and so I really appreciated that was what happened here, because it was really funny. How quickly does it go there? I don't want to give spoilers.
Oh,
yeah,
I know,
I'm just
that's
not
so
gonna.
hard. That's like...
So I'm not going to say anything about what their conversation, their first conversation is, except for it is extremely awkward, but in the most validating way, where it's like, yes, this is very realistic, even though it's a thing with a superhero and the kid who's been writing self-insert fan fiction about him. And then there's another plot alongside the superhero one that's just Nick in school, being in school, and he's got some best friends, and he might be developing a crush on one of his friends, but actually really definitely not. That's not a thing, except for it totally is. It's definitely a thing.
Nice.
And then there's a school bully who maybe isn't so much of a bully, but
Enemies to lovers?
there's a bit of
I've been reading a lot of rom-coms lately, so excuse me if I think everything is a rom-com.
oh, it has plenty of rom-com tropes that are done very, very well in a very, very funny manner. There is a lot of the superhero secret identity thing that gets used in a great,
nice.
very effective, very funny way. And I think I got to like 3/4 of the way through, and it was pretty obvious, like intended to be obvious to the reader what's happening, but Nick has no idea, so that kind of, it doesn't make it the terrible cringe, because it's like, we know what's happening, but he's not embarrassing himself by being genuine. It's just like, we know what's happening, so he's doing things that we can see how it's going to play out, and that just is like an advance funny. I think it was great. Like, I loved it.
It's definitely on my list of
Yeah.
books to read, like, very much.
Yep. And there's a sequel that we have. I haven't read it yet because I wanted to reread this one first. But I have like a stack of books to read that's way too long to pick up anything new.
And isn't there a third one coming out too?
Yes, there is.
Yes.
So we have to get that one. We will tell Shira. Shira must buy it.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
The Extraordinaries. Definitely good. Yes.
Exciting. All right. So you have more books than I do, so I don't know if you want to do a second one, or if we can just, maybe I can do one of mine, because I'm gonna make Emily do something funny. I hope.
Yeah. Yep. Great.
So anyway, this one is called It Sounded Better in My Head, and it is a rom-com by Nina Kenwood, and I have to tell you, the back blurb for this paperback is terrible. I don't know if it's different somewhere else, but like, no, it does. It sounds boring. It's like, her parents announce their impending divorce. She can't understand why no one's fighting. Then her two best friends hook up. Well, no, her best friends have been dating for like 9 months, and she's like dealing with it a little bit, but it's okay. And then she thought that maybe she'd end up with Zach one day, but like really she's not like pining for him. And then she plays spin the bottle at a party and kisses Zach's brother. But like the spin the bottle, like he kisses her on like the cheek. And so it sets up this whole scenario that is like not exactly what the book is about. And I think it makes it sound like really like blah and really like every other book, when really it's like really funny. So yeah, Natalie is 18. It is summer break, but they live in Australia.
Okay, so it's winter.
So it's winter. But yeah, exactly. Winter here, summer here, but it's like the new year, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a whole bunch of like things happening like around like New Year, and she's waiting to hear about her university placement, because apparently in Australia you graduate first and then you get your university placement later. So
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so she and her two friends are waiting to get their university placement. You know, she's got all this stuff going on, and so I'm going to make Emily read a scene with me. This is, they've graduated, and she wants to go to this party, and this is like some dialogue that I really liked, so.
I might stay at Owen's.
Oh, Natalie, no, I don't think that's a good idea.
Do I need your permission?
I suppose not. I mean, I like to know where you are, but you're 18, so you can technically go wherever you want.
Technically?
Legally. Officially, in the eyes of the law.
But
I don't want my baby to stay at some boy's house.
don't call me your baby. That is gross and infantilizing. Blah, blah, blah. I'm good at talking.
It's hard to pronounce infantilizing. Let's say it together.
Infantilizing.
Yes. You get a boyfriend and now you're too good to be called baby. You'll never have Patrick Swayze with that attitude.
Patrick Swayze is dead.
I know, sweetie. It was a Dirty Dancing reference.
I get the reference, but it was weird to mention him.
If I can't make Dirty Dancing references, then end my life now, because it isn't worth living. Thank you. So anyway, Natalie has like really like good banter with like her mom, and then her friends, and then the boy that is her friend's brother that she might be interested in, but she also has like a lot of like, I don't want to call it drama, but you know, she's like dealing with some things. Like she had really bad acne for her early teenhood, and so she's like really coping with the fact that this is the first time a boy has ever liked her, or she's ever like felt comfortable in her body. And I will tell you, this is a bit of a racy book, so if you are younger and like not into books that are a little bit racy, like there are some scenes with this boy that she is pursuing or not pursuing, but like they're having this like weird like tension between them, Natalie and Alex, and then she decides, okay, things are gonna happen, and you know, there is some like pretty like crazy awkward stuff, and it has one of my favorite rom-com tropes pretty early on, which is they have to share a bed. So he like decides, like first they're like, we're gonna sleep on the floor, one of us is gonna sleep on the floor, one of us is gonna sleep on this cot, and then they each realize like, oh, these are like terrible things, and yeah, so then Alex builds a pillow barrier between them, because clearly a pillow barrier is going to like make it okay to share the bed.
And not awkward at all.
And not awkward at all. So it's like got a lot of like that awkward humor, and I thought this was really funny. It was like a really good like first love story, but also it wasn't like totally a romance. It doesn't end with like some sort of like happily ever after, like everything's perfect. Good. It's more like, hey, we're like learning about who we are, and like maybe we are going to be good together, and maybe not, but so, you know, if you like rom-coms, it's good, but also like you don't have to be a rom-com fan. I think it's like more of like I just graduated high school, I don't know what's going on, I'm like exploring this relationship with the boy, and in a really, really funny way. So it sounded better in my head, and it's by Nina Kenwood, and I really, really thought it was a funny book.
Okay, do we want to go?
I mean, we could definitely talk one of yours, Hyperbole and a Half, which is also one of my favorite funny books, or I don't know if you want to talk about something else.
No, this is a good one. Okay, so this was not one that I had originally planned on bringing down, but when I was grabbing the rest of my books, I was like, I should do one last sweep around the room to see if there is something that really speaks to me. And I saw this and was like, oh yes, this speaks to me. So this is Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Brosh. It is a book version of her, I want to say, award-winning webcomic. So,
I mean, I gave her awards in my head,
yes,
all the
same.
time. So even if it was nothing official, like awards, Allie, many.
I can't. This is from The God of Cake, which is one of the anecdotes. So one of the things I love about this is that it is ridiculously simple artwork. Like, she very clearly does this in Microsoft Paint, which is so charming, and it really makes you feel like, hey, I could do that. So it's like, it's good for making you want to be creative, but also it's really, really funny. They are collections of, I'm gonna say, memoir essays, which are both in prose and also comic panels. So The God of Cake was a story about when she was, I think, 3, and it was her grandma's birthday, and she was not allowed to have sugar because it turned her into a little hyperactive beast. So she sees the cake and she's like, I want the cake. And her mom was like, you cannot have the cake. And so this 3-year-old is plotting how to get the cake. And shenanigans ensue. So it doesn't just cover her childhood, it has like adult life as well, including dog adoption.
Her dog is the best dog.
Dogs don't understand basic concepts like moving. The dogs don't understand what's going on. They're so confused. This is Simple Dog. Simple Dog is very bad at being a dog. So whenever I have to introduce my dog Cosmo to somebody new, I just pull out my copy of Hyperbole and a Half and I'm like, okay, read the Simple Dog essay, because Cosmo is also very bad at being a dog. The other dog is Helper Dog. That is not a good name because Helper Dog is not helpful, which is also very Cosmo now that I think about it.
I was gonna say, like, her art, like, I read an interview with her once where she said, like, her art style is, like, very simple but also very intentional, and it's kind of like Elephant and Piggy in that way, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I'm like speaking from my children's librarian, not my YA librarian, but like Elephant and Piggy like are very simple, and like your child can draw Elephant and Piggy, but also like everything they do, from like the way that their bodies are positioned to like where their eyes get bigger or like where their smiles are, it's like just like that. It's like you get like this weird, like you'll just see this like shift in the character's position, and like it's really, really funny. Emily's just laughing. She's just laughing, just reading it.
I found more dogs.
Yeah. Oh, those dogs. Like, and you can see she has like a sense of like body style and everything.
Yeah.
Like, she's an artist.
Yeah.
She's just an MS Paint artist, and it's fantastic.
One of the fun things from, so she wrote a second book that was supposed to have come out years and years ago, but then some bad things happened in her personal life, so it was put on the back burner for a very long time. But in some of her promotional materials for the new book, because she was finally ready for it to be released into the world, she showed some of the images she took as like body references. So like there's a panel where there's a very muscular man, so she just like shoved clothes and stuff down her shirt to like make herself look muscular, and is doing the poses, and it's very funny. And it's like, oh, now I know exactly how this person has all of these experiences, because that is definitely the sort of person who would then just shove clothes down her shirt to make her look muscular. So, now I just want to read it.
I know, right? Here, wait, I want to find, like, where is clean all the things? Because that's like, I still say that with my life. I tried to do a cross stitch once of like clean all the things, or maybe I did a laptop one, but I don't know. I'm just gonna flip through this because I'm stuck. Oh wait, here we go. Oh yes, I like this, and I say this as like somebody who like loves my job, but it's like work, no, internet forever. And then she's like in the light of her computer, and it's like, yeah, that was like how I felt in grad school, where I was like, no, I'm not gonna do like actual like work. I'm gonna just look at things on the internet.
This is like looking at BuzzFeed and calling it professional development.
Yes,
because
exactly.
you have to be up on pop culture.
Yes. I don't know. But anyway, she's great. Like, I feel like she's like kind of eternal. Like, these were all being like written a long time ago. Yeah, but
I found the webcomic in like 2009 or something. And then the book came out when I was in my junior year of college. So that was 2013, I think. And then the new one was just last year. Yeah. So like, she's still going, and it's great.
She's awesome. I love her. All right. Do you want to do another one?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna go with the other graphic novel, Death and Sparkles. This is one that we have upstairs in the children's section, but when I was reading it, I was like, yes, this is definitely in the right place. Like, it's published by a children's imprint of the publisher, so it belongs upstairs and not on our graphic novel or Graphica shelves downstairs, but it is really amazing for all ages. This is about death, and Sparkles. Sparkles is the last unicorn, and Sparkles is an international celebrity because of being the last unicorn. So Sparkles has a shady manager, and the shady manager is like, hey, we're gonna make you do a stunt to make your publicity go off the charts, and the stunt goes wrong, and Sparkles does not survive.
Oh,
so that is how Death and Sparkles meet.
Okay, that is dark, dark humor.
But the death doesn't stick because, of course, it doesn't. I think there's something with paperwork and Sparkles not having been a very good person, unicorn person. Anyway, so Death's whole thing is that Death can't touch anything without it dying. So there's a great part where after Death and Sparkles become friends,
it's kind of a Pushing Daisies thing.
Kind of, yes.
My references are so out of date. I'm sorry.
Okay, but Pushing Daisies should be eternal. They should do... I don't want them to do a reboot because it was so perfect the first time around. Pushing Daisies is a very old now TV show where a kid who grows into an adult is I'm really good at talking, is able to bring people back to life for 60 seconds by touching them. And then if he doesn't touch them again within 60 seconds, then something else nearby is going to die. So he uses this ability to help solve murders. He also owns a pie shop, and one day he finds the girl he was in love with as a kid was the victim of this murder, so he touches her, but then he can't bring himself to touch her again, and so there's this very sweet love story that is, if they touch, she's gonna die.
Yep. Anyway, yeah, it's on HBO Max streaming, so I don't know if we have the DVDs here. I didn't even check that, but we always check streaming first.
I think we do.
We probably do. We have a really, really good TV series DVD collection.
Maureen does an amazing job.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, sorry, I'm just like, is this how Bookstreams are supposed to work? We just kind of go off on, okay, good.
So, death can't bring things to life by touching them, but, touches them and they die. Death has never been invited to a party because who wants death at their party?
Nobody.
So Death is now friends with Sparkles, and Sparkles is alive even though rumors of his death were greatly exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
is the party line now. So some people find him and are like, "You're not dead," and he's like, "I'm not dead." And so they love Sparkles, so they're like, "We're gonna throw you a party." And Death is now going by Dennis, so that nobody knows he's Death, which, you know, I don't know how you could mistake a skeleton for anything else, but you know, it's great.
I don't know what the world building is like. Maybe there are other skeletons.
So Death goes to a party and meets a new friend, and then the friend is like, "Let's shake hands."
Oh no! Oh no! Oh, spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert! Yeah, that's halfway through, but it's also not really a spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna happen at some point, right? I mean, accidental
So
murder.
to cover up the accidental murder, he just puts a box over the dead guy's head. And then things get even worse. And this is what I mean by I like dark humor, because everybody's dying, but it's so funny. Oh, it's great. So I was sitting at the desk reading this and laughing out loud, and then a little kid came up and asked what I was laughing at, and I couldn't explain that I was laughing at dead people. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, "The unicorn is very funny."
Yes.
And that worked, because, like, she wasn't old enough to read yet. She didn't know.
It's all right.
Yeah. So, Upstairs, still great. Awesome for all ages.
Very cool.
And Sparkles.
I love Susan Nielsen, and we don't have all of her books in the library. She has a great one that I read recently called Tremendous Things, which is about a boy whose best friend is like an octogenarian, mm-hmm. and then he hosts a foreign exchange student, and it's got lots of like really good boy humor in it. And then
this sounds really sweet too.
It was
like all vulnerable and nice and good.
But you know, like also like this is kind of like an awkward teenage boy with
mm-hmm.
an 80-year-old best friend, and
mm-hmm.
it has a little bit of romance in it and all that. But yeah, it's very good. So anyway, this one is in our YA section. We have a Susan Nielsen that's down in that's up in junior high too. I like this one because like my husband makes comments sometimes about like molecules and how like smell molecules are like somebody else's molecules. Like you're like smelling
particulate.
Yes, you're smelling their molecules, and you know there's like a lot of good fart humor there.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, We Are All Made of Molecules is about it's told from two perspectives. One, it's a 13-year-old boy. The other is a 14-year-old girl. Their parents marry each other, and it is supremely awkward because the 14-year-old girl is like really popular, and she is like not dealing well with all of this, and the 13-year-old boy is like extremely nerdy, and he's just like excited to have like this new sister, and so a lot of it's about their like friendship and you know how things like evolve between them. So they do not fall in love, I can promise that.
Good.
But like, so Stuart is kind of like this super like gifted kid, and this is part of Stuart's part. When I was 4 years old, I asked my parents one morning over breakfast, "What does convicted of road rage mean?" Dad almost choked on his oatmeal. He showed Mom a headline on his newspaper he was reading: "Man convicted of road rage." On my 5th birthday, my parents gave me a Lego police car. They watched as I built it without the instructions. When I was 6, I could add up columns of numbers just by looking at them. I like to take Mom's grocery bills, fold over the total on each so I couldn't see it, and then add the items up in my head.
Fun game.
Yeah. When I was 7, Mom took me to see a nice lady who did a whole pile of tests, and she told my parents I was gifted. My parents shared what she'd said, and I got very excited for a moment because I honestly thought being gifted involved getting gifts.
I mean, it should.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I mean, he has this reputation of a weirdo, like, for example, he was born 6 weeks early, and he ends up going to the bathroom with a friend, and he's like, another kid in his class, and he's like, is that a diaper? And he didn't feel embarrassed. There was a perfectly rational scientific reason. I have an immature bladder. It means my bladder doesn't always signal when I need to go. It's because I was a preemie. I was born 6 weeks early. The doctor says I'll grow out of it. So you can imagine, like, kind of what terrible things are happening in his socially awkward life. Like, instead of Stuart, they start calling him Poort, which
that's just rude.
I know, and it has nothing to do with his bladder at all. His bowels are just fine. So I mean, Stuart in general is kind of like, he's a little bit like Sheldon, Big Bang Theory. Like, he's a little bit socially awkward, but he's like really genuine. He's not mean at all. And like, the fact that he has this new family and he's like really earnest about it, whereas his new sister is like feeling like supremely like, oh my God, now my brother is Poort,
Yeah.
It's pretty, but anyway, really, really funny, not a romance. Molecules. Susan Nielsen.
I wouldn't have guessed that was a funny book from the cover at all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like one of those like total sneakers on you. Like it's very nerdy. It's like if you like your nerds, like funny nerds, this is, and again, it's not just nerdy because 2 narrators, but yeah, the thing I liked about it most was the nerdiness.
So we're going to go with a different kind of nerdiness. This is Hold Me Closer, the Tiny Cooper story. So this is a companion novel to a book called Will Grayson, which is by John Green and David Levithan. This is just by David Levithan. So Will Grayson is about 2 boys named Will Grayson who live in the Chicago area, and then one day they meet and their lives become kind of enmeshed because they have the same name, and so there are misunderstandings, and that one is also very funny. But this one is the one that I wanted to highlight because the best character in Will Grayson is named Tiny Cooper. Mm-hmm. Tiny Cooper is going to be a Broadway star. Tiny Cooper is very gay, and
fabulous.
Yes, extremely fabulous. This is why it's a glittery cover.
Mm-hmm.
And has, in trying to not spoil anything, but in one of the climactic moments of Will Grayson, and this definitely isn't a spoiler, Tiny Cooper puts on a musical that he has written, and then he performs it. I think he performs it all by himself. I don't remember.
It's been a long time since I read that one.
It's been forever, but it's
such
like,
a good book, though.
It's great. And I believe this is the musical he performs, is like his life story. So this is in the form of a musical theater script, which is a really fun way to have a book written. Tiny stops. He can't say a word. In the silence, the chorus comes on stage. It is a chorus of gay kids. Some of them the boyfriends from the second act, some of them young lesbians, including Linda, the lesbian babysitter. One of them, to appear again later, is the ghost of Oscar Wilde. So, I feel like David Levithan doesn't really write a bunch of funny stuff. I feel like he mostly goes for like the heart-wrenching, coming-of-age, romantic, queer stories. This is just delightful. Like, I can say that without having read it because Tiny Cooper is so delightful that it's like, how could an entire book of Tiny Cooper be anything other than amazing?
That's true.
Yeah. So, this hasn't gone out since 2018, so somebody needs to check it out.
Please check it out. Check it out so somebody.
Because it deserves to be read. It's so good. Maybe I'll check check it out and read. No, I have too many books. I can't check it out. I can't read it. Also recommend reading Will Grayson first. We do have that one as well. I just didn't bring it down because it wasn't the one I wanted to focus on, even though it's also great.
Okay.
I feel like everybody's heard of that and nobody's heard of Tiny Cooper.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like a shame. I don't know. I feel like there's just so much to read these days.
There's so much to read.
There's so much to read. So I'm gonna talk about a book that made me laugh so hard that my son told me that I should stop reading it. You're reading too loud, and it isn't even out yet. This comes out in September of this year, and I'm really sad that it's not going to be a summer story. And I also, the author wrote last year's adult summer hit Dial A for Aunties, which is an adult book.
She's writing she has written a middle grade one that's coming out soon.
Yes.
We will be happy.
Yes. So see, this isn't really a book. I made it. It's pretend. So it's on my Kindle and wherever I left my Kindle. But yeah, so this is it is 100% a rom-com. It is 100% racy. So I see that you've got Tokyo Ever After,
mm-hmm.
and it's very, very, very Asian. So you have Charlotte, and Charlotte, her name is spelled Shrlot, because apparently Chinese Indonesian parents will name their kids things very phonetically, and she's not sure why her mom named her something that was a cross between Scarlet and Harlot. But she has this really very, very handsome boyfriend, Bradley, who's kind of a himbo, but she's ready, and she is ready to go all the way with him, and she is planning it in the first chapter, and her mom walks in, and it does not go well. And her mom decides, who immigrated to the United States, they live in LA from Indonesia, decides that they're going to go to Indonesia for the summer because her wonderful daughter, Charlotte, not a harlot, not Scarlet, needs to get away because this is terrible. And then there's the second chapter. We switch to the boy's point of view. His name is George, and George has just been caught doing a very 17-year-old boy thing on his computer by his dad.
Oh no!
And his sister. But so I said, racy, okay? But here's the thing, he minimizes the screen so that they don't see what's going on, but they are both clearly aware of what's going on. And what they see is a very cartoony game that he has been playing, and there are a gnome and a badger who have been talking to each other. And so they think, oh my God, he's into gnomes and badgers, and the badger has just given the gnome a gift. And the badger has given the gnome an extra large juicy eggplant.
No!
So this is how the book starts. And then we move into traditional rom-com territory between these two characters, but you can tell there are a whole bunch of super Chinese Indonesian aunties who are getting in the way of things. We've got sisters, we've got it is just super crazy rom-com territory, and I'm so excited to recommend this to people when it comes out in September, and adults too. If you're an adult who is watching this and likes YA books and you like rom-coms, this is pure gold. So I am so excited about this book, which made me laugh so hard because the badger's eggplant is just
I can't.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was like. I was like, I can't breathe because this is I made my husband read it. He was very awkward. He was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. And I'm like, this is the funniest thing ever. So yeah, I guess if you're a 17-year-old boy, you might find it really embarrassing, whereas I found it very funny.
Lean into the embarrassing.
Yes, exactly.
That's how it stops being embarrassing.
Right. And he's a very nice boy.
So, Tokyo Ever After, since that was just mentioned, I feel like this was one of the most popular books last year.
Oh, definitely.
Well-deservedly, it's wonderful. So I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time on it, but one of the best things about it is that it is an even funnier version of the Princess Diaries, except also now it's like modern.
Ooh,
and
I love the Princess
and
Diaries.
Japanese, because Izumi is Japanese American. She finds out that her dad is the Crown Prince of Japan, and so she is trying to get in touch with him, and then eventually he gets back in touch with her, and she's whisked off to meet him, and she's a very American person, so she's not cognizant of some of the social norms involved with being royalty, which makes her make a lot of very funny mistakes. This is a romance. She has a will they won't they thing with her guard, and they have great banter. They also have some very, very sweet, very romantic moments that were just kind of like, oh. So if you don't like feeling like, oh, then maybe you won't want to read that. But also, Izumi is hilarious. The whole thing, like, I feel that this book should be given to every creative writing student as, like, this is how you do voice effectively. Because, like, it's just 100% perfect for character voice. Like, spot on all the time, never wavering. Like, Izumi feels like the most real person, and I would love to be her friend.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm reading the sequel right now, except the arc I have is missing random pages.
Oh, that's so frustrating.
So I have stopped reading it, and I'm just going to wait for it to come out, I think.
I hate when that happens.
It's so far it's really good. I have laughed a few times, but also I'm confused about what's going on because I'm missing some pages.
All right. You should do another book because you have more books than I do.
Let's see. Let's do... You've read Beauty Queens. Let's do Beauty Queens.
Yes, I've read Beauty Queens.
Beauty Queens is about 50 contestants in the Miss Teen Dream pageant are on a plane going to the pageant, I believe, when something happens on the plane and the plane crashes, and they are the only survivors. I can't remember if all of them survive or some of them don't. I know all of the chaperones die.
Yeah, I can't remember. That's really...
Okay.
I'm gonna find my Goodreads review to see what I can figure out.
So the book is after they have crashed. I think it starts when the plane goes down. And it's written by Libba Bray, who is, I think, most well known for the Diviners series, which has funny moments, but is not funny. It is mostly scary. Like, it's a great period ghost story. This is just funny in the most ridiculous way. So these beauty queen contestants are stranded on a tropical island, an island, and
a beachy island.
Yeah, they have to figure out how to survive until somebody comes to rescue them. But also there's like a corporate espionage thing going on, and my favorite character is the one who has the airline tray stuck in her head. Oh yeah. Oh yes. She's just really funny.
Yes.
Really, it's just the fact that she exists that makes me laugh. I don't know. So it goes from catty kind of like sniping at each other to really wholesome, genuine friendships in this ridiculous setting. And there's a little bit Lord of the Flies going on there.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I feel like Lord of the Flies and...
It's like Survivor and Lost and like everything that was like really big around that time.
Yeah, because I think it was...
I don't know. I read it in 2011.
Yeah, that's what it says. Copyright 2011
Yeah.
cover image. There's also a really fantastic deconstruction of like what it means to be a contestant in a beauty pageant.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of Lord of the Flies and Miss Congeniality,
mm-hmm.
which is one of the best rom-coms, and I will fight anybody who disagrees.
Yeah, it looks like it says in the review that 13 survived, so it's 13 people on the
13.
island. So,
and it's one of those where I think you just have to read it, because just about anything you can say will spoil something amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not sure I should have mentioned the espionage thing, but
it's just like this parody, like satire on a desert island.
Yeah.
And it's like, but if you like reality shows, it's like got like things for reality shows, and if you like girl power,
yes,
it's got like a lot of girl power, and
it's one of the thing I liked the most about it was like they all came to appreciate their individuality, and like how being girly isn't a bad thing, even if you're stranded on a desert island. Like they learn how to use their beauty queen talent stuff as survival techniques, and it's really great. It's really funny. I've been wanting to talk about it on a Bookstream for ages, and then when I started talking about it, I was like, wait, there's really nothing I can say without spoiling it. But
I mean, just look at the cover.
Yeah.
I mean, the cover alone, you've got like this bullet bandolier and like this like swimsuit competition pageant thing.
And I feel like it's the perfect cover for this book.
Yes. All right. So last year, oh my God, how long has it been? In 2020, when the pandemic started.
It's 2020 now.
I know, oh my God, 2 years.
Time hasn't happened.
So fast. Like, I thought, all right, I'm a librarian, this is great. I'm gonna like spend a lot of time like reading and like getting stuff, the library wasn't open, we were figuring out how things would happen. So like we were doing a lot of work behind the scenes, but I thought, oh hey, I'm gonna be able to read. But like my brain was like goo because pandemic and things were different. So it took me like a long time to actually be able to like pick up books. And the thing that got me back into books after like several months of not being able to finish a book was Grady Hendrix's horror books. It was specifically the Southern Housewife's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Southern Book Club's Guide, sorry. Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which was very, very funny. But I didn't want to talk about that one because that one's about middle-aged women, and it's not necessarily a YA book. Yeah. And this technically isn't a YA book, but it is very YA adjacent. So this is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. And there's an alternate cover of this one that looks like a choose-your-own-adventure book, which is like really amazing.
That's the cover I've seen, and I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So this is set in the 80s, and if you know much about the 80s, of course, there's a lot of like Stephen King. There's a lot of like horror movie stuff happening in the 80s. There was, a lot of like Linda Blair stuff, just a lot of satanic panic in the 80s as well. So this is what happens when a group of friends go out into the woods one night and a friend disappears and then comes back, and it turns out that she is in fact possessed. So, but it's just got like a lot of like kind of like I grew up as I was a small person in the 80s, so like not a teenager in the 80s, so like this wasn't like relevant to my high school experience at all, but like if you watched 80s movies at all, like this is going to be your jam because it has like a lot of like 80s references in like a really campy, tongue-in-cheek way, and then of course, what happens when your best friend is possessed, because like if your friend is like possessed by the devil, like what can you do about it? So this is like super gross. It's like super gloopy. Like it's not like funny haha so much as like funny over the top. And at the end, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that like things turn out okay.
It's not a spoiler.
It's not like gonna end like with like the devil takes over the town, but
this is one of those books where it's like the friendship survives the exorcism.
Yes, the friendship survives the exorcism.
Because that's how you know you're really friends.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it is in our science fiction section here, under Grady Hendrix, and Grady Hendrix writes some like really good campy horror stuff. And if you're into like the 80s movies or into horror movies at all, I would definitely suggest My Best Friend's Exorcism as a really fun read.
Grady Hendrix is a very fun writer.
Yeah.
So to continue the horror comedy, Girls Save the World in this one is about 3 girls who are, they've either just graduated or are about to graduate from high school, and this is their last adventure before they are able to, like, before they go off to college. The adventure is ZombieCon. So they are huge fans of a zombie TV show, which, Human Wasteland. It is very clearly a Walking Dead look-alike.
Clone.
Yeah. So if you know, yeah. If you are aware at all of The Walking Dead, like, you don't have to have seen it, you just need to know what it is, then you'll be instantly able to understand what they are such huge fans of. So ZombieCon has come to their hometown, so they decide they're gonna go. They've been waiting for this for a very long time, and they're not gonna let anything make it less than an amazing experience, including the fact that their ex-best friend also has passes, except she's got like special backstage passes. Ooh. So they're like, we're just not gonna bother with that. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. So obviously, because it's a con, there are people in cosplay, and since it's a zombie con, there are people dressed up as zombies. And that makes it very difficult to determine when an actual zombie outbreak occurs.
Yeah.
So it at first, everybody thinks that the cosplayers are just taking it too far. And then the panel for the TV show goes wrong, and the 3 girls have to band together with the cast of their favorite show, and also the ex-best friend, and I think her new best friends, to try to save the con and then also the world, because you don't want a zombie outbreak spreading.
No, you do not.
This has a lot of gory moments, but it's like just the right level of goofy to make it not just like all the time. And one of the things I liked most about it was, like, I really felt like I got to know the characters and I cared about them, and even though there's a smidgen of romance, it's not one of those where, like, the characters stop doing whatever they have to do to start kissing, because that bothers me a lot. Yeah. No, it feels like a very realistic, except also over the top and very funny take on an actual emergency situation. Some of the characters that you will come to love do die. So that's just advance warning. If you can't handle that, then maybe skip this one. But it's done in a way that is just like it doesn't take away from the fact that at heart I think this is a comedy book. Okay. So, yeah. Also the cover is just really bright and fun.
I know, I really like that cover.
And I think there are some journalists too. Yeah.
Like the coloring of that has like a really like Paper Girls vibe. I like that.
It's just really great and fun and funny and also gross.
All right. So we're getting close to the end, and I want you to talk about Kill the Boy Band.
Okay, Kill the Boy Band. So Kill the Boy Band is about 4 best friends who met, I think, on a fan message board for their favorite boy band, the Ruperts.
It's a great name for a boy band.
They're all named Rupert, and this is basically One Direction. They were put together on a X Factor TV show type thing because their names were all Rupert. So they weren't friends before. They maybe don't even like each other, but it's the most popular boy band in the world. So of course everybody has a favorite member, and
my favorite member is Rupert.
Mine is too. So these girls are perhaps too into the band. They decide they're going to get a room at the hotel that they're staying at. I think they're playing Good Morning America or something, so like they go for the concert, and then they're also like, we're gonna stay in the same hotel. And then things go wrong because
Zombie wrong?
No, not zombie wrong. They accidentally kidnap the most useless member of the band.
Oh.
So, like, if you're gonna kidnap a Rupert, why would you kidnap the worst Rupert?
No.
That one's not my favorite Rupert.
No.
And then it just goes even more off the wall from there, and it is dark and funny and satirical and like a really good takedown of parasocial relationships and like how you feel like you can know somebody except you totally don't because they actually are a person and not just a social media profile. There's a lot about female friendships and like what it means to be really good friends with somebody, and also about fandom, and like there is a lot going on, and it's not a very long book, so it just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming, and it's one of those where I started reading it and I couldn't put it down, and the funny parts are funny in the way that it's like, whoops, accidentally kidnapped the worst member of the boy band, and not just straight up jokes. And then it goes into a... So I haven't actually read the back of this. You okay?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the little review blurbs on the back is Misery for the Belieber generation.
Oh, nice.
Misery is a Stephen King book.
Yes.
So if that gives you any indication of what kind of book this is, I guess I should go beyond Misery is a Stephen King book.
Yeah, so Misery is a Stephen King book where this super fan kidnaps her favorite author and keeps him captive.
Yeah, and so...
Yes, it's a good movie too.
Because once you kidnap the worst member of the boy band, you can't exactly just let him go.
No.
Yeah,
no.
So...
He's the Lance Bass. How do we feel about Lance Bass? I don't know. I
feel like he got a bad rap.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for insulting you, Lance Bass, but still.
Everybody liked Justin Timberlake, but Justin Timberlake's kind of a jerk,
yeah.
I think.
But still, sorry, Lance Bass.
Rupert's a jerk. Rupert is really nice. Rupert is the one that nobody knows anything about, and then Rupert is the worst one.
Okay.
So that's a rundown of the Ruperts. One of the things I really love about Goldie Moldavsky's books is that they're all set in the same universe.
Nice.
So I've talked about the Mary Shelley Club on Bookstream before, which is fantastic. Not funny, but just a really good slasher. She name drops the Ruperts in it. And she's got a new one coming out called Lord of the Fly Fest, which is a whole bunch of I think it's going to be kind of beauty queensy, where a whole bunch of influencers get trapped on an island. Sort of Fire Fest.
Nice. I'm adding that to my Goodreads.
Yeah. It's available on NetGalley and I think Edelweiss.
Okay.
Those are the industry professional review copy places where we get the books.
That's how I get this book, even though it's not out until September. Like, that's the best thing about being a librarian is like, I'm like, oh my god, this is out! And then I'm like, I can't tell anybody about this for like another 5, well, I can tell people about it, but nobody else can read it for another 5 months, and then it's really sad. But
it's very sad.
4 months.
Yeah, so kill the boy band.
6 months. 6 months, September.
And then eventually, Lord of the Fly Fest. I'm sure it's going to be hilarious. I'm very excited for that.
All right. Well, oh my gosh. I think we've like streamed it.
Yeah, I think we're Do we have a cover to show?
I was just gonna say, like, if you're into like boy band books, this one is not like specifically funny, but like read this because it's like a boy band romance. This is like
that's on my list.
Yes. If this is what fandom, like bandom fandom grew into, I am like so delighted. So yeah, this is about two members of a boy band who secretly fall for each other.
And then the last one I had was The Dead Queen's Club, which is Henry VIII, except set in a high school, and it's a comedy, but also a murder mystery. Except you know who did it because, like, it's a historical retelling, but it's still fun and snarky.
Mm-hmm. Well, very cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on your Bookstream.
Yes, this has been very fun. Next month we are going to do graphic novels in honor of Free Comic Book Day. Yes. So the first Friday is the day before Free Comic Book Day of May. I should specify.
May 6th.
May 6th. So at the library, we are going to have free comic books.
I'm very excited.
Yes, me too. So we will be talking about some of our favorite comics and graphic novels that we have in the collection. And then also the next day, you can come and grab some, take them home, keep them forever. Read it, love it, pass it on. And is there anything else? I think that's going to be set up all day, right?
That's going to be set up all day while supplies last.
Yeah, so come early. If you come back later, we'll have the same stuff out. Like we don't have changing stock. But yeah, that's going to be fun. And I'm really excited for comic books.
Yay! Woo! Thanks.
Okay.